Hello and welcome to the 2017-18 school year. This video is intended for any adult that has a student or a child in Honors Pre-Algebra. And I just want to walk through a couple of things so you are in the know about what the students have, what they're expected to do, and just some general information. First of all, every student has a composition notebook with a title. There's a little quote here. The QR code actually takes you to the Google site for our course. Down here at the bottom, there are some learning agreements. I encourage you to look through those with your students and ways that we can be respectful, responsible, and safe during our time together. On the back side, we have the IXL login and the login to the online textbook. Actually, it's the app for the iPad as well, so those login pieces are on the back side of their notebook, and students can access that information. Students also have a textbook, and I told students that they could leave this at home or maybe leave this in their classroom because during class they have access to the online textbook, and even at home they do. So it's not something that I want them lugging around everywhere unless they want to, but it doesn't have to come to class every Tuesday, Wednesday, and it can stay at home or it can stay at school. So there's the textbook. Students were also given a binder, and I'm going to pull out a couple of items from the binder. This little bookmark has the daily routine, and while the daily routine is pretty traditional in the sense that it walks through going through one lesson a day, we talked about some choice in the way students attack or go about their daily routine. Some students might choose to start with doing their IXL, or they might want to start by watching a brain pop video or an ed puzzle, or they might want to take vocabulary definitions down. But this daily routine card gives you an idea of what they're expected to do, and so if you're looking for questions to ask the kids, you could say, did you correct your homework, and can I see what you scored on this worksheet, or how did you do on the self-check quiz? Those are all things you can ask your child or your student to see if they're on track. Maybe where are you at on your IXL minutes or your lessons? How are you on the standardized test? This bookmark will give you lots of different talking points with your child to see where they're at. The next thing I gave the students was a divider for their notebook that says morning work, warm-up work. I know some teachers like to have students work on things in the morning and before math gets started, so I put in some different worksheets here. Some of them are a little easier than others, and it's not all due at the end of chapter 1 or at the end of any chapter. I'll always give them some items to be working on during your morning work time. So if you have that as a part of your daily schedule, tell them to turn to their morning work section and start working on some problems. The next thing in their binder is the chapter 1 outline, and every chapter will look the same. I'm attaching the outline to an email too so that you can see what it looks like. Every lesson is laid out with the what you'll learn statements, any vocabulary, and then the homework for that section. So there shouldn't be any question at all as to what each lesson requires. What corresponds to this outline are the daily note sheets. So the note sheets are actually cut down to the size of the composition notebook. So these note sheets will fit inside of here with a little glue stick. So the chapter 1 checklist is the first item, and this just walks through everything that's due for a particular chapter. Again, a great talking point for you and your child or your student to see if they're marking off items that are done. Okay, so that's a good spot check for you. The next item is an ed puzzle sheet, and this is a QR code that students can scan with their iPad and watch the video. And as they're watching the video, they're filling in items on this sheet. This also gets glued into their composition notebook. Then for every lesson in the chapter, there's a note sheet. And the note sheet in the upper corner has the lesson, the title of the lesson. There's always the essential question. Students fill in the what you'll learn statement. Those statements can be found on the outline right here, or They're at the beginning of every lesson in the textbook. Also on the note sheet is the place to take vocabulary words down with their definition. This is the key right here. I'm anticipating some students will skip this step and ignore this QR code, but this QR code links to a video that I created and that I walk through problems from that lesson. Okay, so I'm sure that someone will just skip that and say, oh, I can do these on my own. I don't have to watch the video. Well, I talk about other things in the video besides these 3 problems, so it's really important to make sure that the kids are watching these daily videos. It's not a substitute for face-to-face instruction, but it really is my way to make sure that the kids are getting down the information that I want them to get down. So each lesson page has a QR code to scan to watch the video and then work out the problems with me from the video. This can be done during class with a set of headphones and in the back of the room, probably individually. They don't need to be working together on that. But make sure that these note sheets, this is another checkpoint for you. If you're looking at their notebook and you're saying, hey, can I look at your note sheets, and these just have maybe an answer on them, then that's probably your indication that they're not watching the video, because in the video I say, write this on your note sheet. Make sure you show your work. So that's a good checkpoint for you as well. Down at the bottom here is just a self-check quiz. It's a 5-question quiz for each lesson in the book. They're going to take that quiz and record their score, and then they're going to send a screenshot to me so I can mark that off. Okay, that is the note sheets. And then finally, we're going to start off with doing a lot of problems on worksheets versus from the textbook for homework. It's not to say we're not going to ever use the textbook, because we will, but I found that using some of the worksheets is an easy way for kids to keep track of things. So for lesson 1 on the outline, lesson 1's homework is the homework practice 1 through 8 all, and then a problem-solving worksheet. So they have lesson 1 homework practice. They're doing 1 through 8 all. And in the problem-solving worksheets, I assign these pretty often. So every problem-solving worksheet for each lesson looks pretty much the same. There's 6 questions, and I take this for a grade. So on the outline, you'll see that for the problem-solving worksheets, if the students do 6 problems correctly, that's an A+. 5 problems is an A, 4 problems is a B, and 3 problems is a C. So I know lots of students last year just did 3 problems. Well, if they did 3 problems and missed 2 of them, they didn't get that C. So encourage your child to do all 6 and shoot for that A+, and then of course if they miss any, it's graded accordingly. But the problem-solving worksheets, like I said, look the same for every lesson. There's 6 problems, and I will take that for a grade. So to recap, each day, if I'm looking at my daily routine, I'm going to review the essential question for the chapter. The essential question for the chapter can be found at the top of the outline. It's also found at the top of every note sheet. Second, write down what you'll learn. The what you'll learn statements are right here, and they're in the form of I can, and then you can copy down those statements from the outline right here, or you can look at the beginning of your textbook for each lesson. The definitions for the vocabulary words, here are the words on the outline, and on the note sheets, the words are right here. They can look in their textbook to write down those vocabulary definitions, and then scan the QR code to watch the video to go over the problems from the lesson. The videos don't go through everything in the chapter, so it's important to have the kids learn how to read their textbook and look through the examples. I know that's a hard skill to learn, so I'll keep on working with them on that, and we'll get to be good readers of textbooks in addition to novels and nonfiction and fiction books. So next is work on homework. So after you've watched the video and done the problems down here, we're going to work on our homework. The homework is right here. It says lesson 1 worksheet, homework practice 1 through 8 all, and then work on the problem solving. Then the next step is to correct the homework. The homework answer keys will be posted on our Google site, and it's up to the students to correct those and then decide whether or not they need extra help, whether they need to contact me or their EY coordinator to help them out with those. But they have lots of adults who are willing to help them, including their classroom teachers, EY coordinators, myself, of course, and they do need to get into the habit of knowing when it is time to reach out for help. So when they're correcting their homework and they're missing a couple of different problems, they need to make sure they understand those. The last thing on this sheet then would be to take the self-check quiz. They're going to take that and then send me the screenshot, and then afterwards they can work on any IXL lessons. Here's some IXL lessons for each chapter are going to be posted there. There might be an Ed Puzzle or a BrainPop video to watch as well. Big question is, do you have to get through one lesson a day? Well, we know at the top here that all lessons are going to be due September 6th, which means that everything on this sheet is due and everything on the check sheet should be marked off. Okay, and so it's going to be a little bit of time here, a couple chapters maybe, before we get in the habit of what our daily routine looks like and what we should get done each day. If you want to set the expectation that one lesson gets done a day, great. Okay, it's going to take a little while for us to get used to the independence required in this course, and we'll figure it out. And if I need to adjust dates, I will. I did that a lot last year, depending on where the kids were in their daily work. So hopefully this video helps you understand the beginning of our wonderful year of Honors Pre-Algebra in a blended format. I'm super excited to do this again another year and work with you and your students to have a successful year. So please reach out whenever you have a question via text, via email. Phone call is fine too, but let's start early with our communication to make sure that we set these kids up for success. Thanks.